Masking in general and just like prepping the car before it goes in the booth is really going to affect the overall performance and the overall finished product. If you don't take the time to properly line the tape up and think through the gaskets and the seals and like bringing that tape right up to the line or using foam, it will affect the finished product, because if you're not lined properly, that top coat, whatever, you know, primer, base, like all of it is going to go on places you don't want it to go on. And then you're going to be dealt the hand of trying to remove it later with coating that's, you know, probably can't be touched for a few hours and has to set. Like, it just creates this whole like animal. So taking the time and having a properly masked vehicle really gives you that nice finished product, because you know all your lines are going to be crisp and you only got the coating. I mean, like sometimes things are inevitable, but if you can have the panels already like lined up and perfect and like just flawless, then it's going to create a really nice finished product. You know, it's the same if you were painting your house. Like, tape it up. So there's a whole slew of different things, and I've seen that whole trend kind of go back and forth between like the power masking, where you're only using the sheeting and you're not using as much paper. There's different sizes of paper, so 6-inch, 18, 24, 36. There's different colors of paper: brown paper, green paper, white paper, polyback paper. Traditionally, white paper is more expensive than all of the rest. Polyback is a little bit more expensive too. And it is kind of it's a consumable of the body shop. It doesn't go with the car, so it's really just a wasted product, but it does help you achieve a really great look. So it is kind of it's a consumable for the shop to take on. So thinking through like what's the most efficient way to use it. 6-inch paper can be kind of helpful with like lighting, like when you take the lights out, like depending on how the front fender and hood line up, I kind of like that sometimes, or in between door jambs, like using that for that. 18 is kind of my go-to, I think, for paper. 36 I think is just a lot of paper. I think it's almost too much. Maybe that's preference, but I don't use it. And then kind of a hybrid of using paper and plastic, I think, is what I see for the most part. There are some shops though that do just plastic and that's it, and then others that kind of do a hybrid, and then I've seen others that just like paper the whole, you know, they're using 36 and they're like papering the whole car, and it looks like a gift. Polyback's really nice because it prevents any solvents from bleeding through. If it's not polybacked and it's colored paper, you can run into, you know, in states that allow solvent use, you can have bleed-throughs where the color bleeds, and if you're working with a white, that can be somewhat problematic. The quality of paper can really be significant in the overall, like dust is your biggest enemy in the booth. And you know, one, like blowing yourself off before you get in the booth, and then also like sometimes buying cheap paper is a really bad idea. You can wind up with like little hairs and things that fall off the paper, and it is a good idea if you're using poor or lesser quality papers to use a tack cloth and just kind of make sure you don't have anything loose that's going to fly back into your panel that you've painted.